Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Dale Minyo. Supposedly, it's going to warm up just a little bit the next couple days, but we've seen a little bit of snow and ice yesterday, so we'll try to melt some of that off if we can. The U.S. Department of Agriculture published an interim rule that provides guidelines for climate-smart agricultural practices for crops used for biofuels. The tax credit, part of the Inflation Reduction Act, is designed to help the agricultural industry make inroads into the aviation sector. Farmers have long awaited this release. The new rule removes the requirement to bundle climate smart practices and instead allows corn to qualify as an eligible feedstock if practices are used to grow it. But farmers have also asked for more clarity on how they will benefit from the law. We are appreciative of Secretary Vilsack for ushering the process along and increasing the number of corn bushels that would qualify for the tax credit, said Illinois farmer and National Corn Grower Association President Kenneth Hartman Jr. It is still unclear whether that is enough to enable farmer participation. Additional opportunities for improvement would include the use of a book and claim system and the expansion of practices that would qualify for the credit, both of which would allow a greater farmer participation. USDA will open a 60-day public comment period in which NCGA will continue to communicate the role farmers are playing in producing feedstocks for biofuels. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
Mild air today leads to some precipitation overnight and tomorrow. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that Ohio Ag weather update. Overall, no major changes here in the short term. We see a lot of clouds today. Two different sources of the clouds. First of all, we've got this big, mild air mass trying to push over a very cold and snow-covered surface, and that right there triggers cloud cover pretty doggone easily. In addition, we've got another weather system coming up from the southwest. That's going to have its clouds in already, and so the two give us the thought process of if you see any sunshine today, call it a bonus and move on. In my mind, precipitation doesn't get going until closer to or after midnight, and then it goes through the day tomorrow. I do think we're looking at rain and wet snow both. Right now, I'm going to say south of US 30, largely rain with some sloppy wet snowflakes mixing in. Where it gets interesting is in that northern part of the state. Let's just say US 30 northward. I think we can end up with a coating to an inch. Probably not two, but maybe we get close, of real sloppy, wet, slushy kind of snow. It's going to be cold enough all the way through the atmosphere for snow to fall. So just keep an eye if you're going to be traveling there through the day Saturday. Temperatures drop very, very quickly as the system passes by and we get rotating air in from the northwest. Frigid air in here to finish the weekend Sunday and especially Monday through Thursday of next week. Temperatures low single digits to below zero for highs, well below zero for overnight lows. And here's the thing, we've got strong winds as well. So just flat out nasty wind chills to start next week. I don't see big precipitation, but we can't rule out lake effect. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Joining me is Mike Steenhoek, Executive Director of the Soy Transportation Coalition. And Mike, some legislation late last week that actually affects a lot of our exports. Who made what decisions and how long has it taken?
Long-term Association. That's the organization that represents dock workers at our ports along the East and Gulf Coast. And then the U.S. Maritime Alliance is the organization that represents port authorities, port operators, and the ocean vessel companies that utilize those ports. Achieve a new 6-year contract. Covers a variety of things: salaries, wages, benefits, the use of automation, those kind of things. The current contract actually expired on September 30th of 2024. And because the two parties hadn't come to a new agreement, there was a 3-day strike in early October that was then concluded and due to an agreement on salary and wages. As a result of that, they agreed to extend the current contract to January 15th. The big sticking point is the degree to which ports are allowed to implement automation and new technologies at the ports. The dock workers are adamantly opposed to any kind of automation because they believe it's a threat to their jobs. The port operators and port authorities and ocean vessel companies want to see a greater degree of automation and technology because they believe that will allow U.S. ports to be more competitive in terms of efficiency and throughput compared to our counterparts in Europe and Asia and elsewhere around the world. So it really was a big sticking point. And then January 15th being the potential for an additional strike, the two parties couldn't come to a resolution. So we were very pleased to see that the leadership of both the International Law Firms Association and the U.S. Maritime Alliance did come to a recent agreement on these issues. Now, we will not know the specifics of the agreement until the full membership of the two organizations ratify the contract, but we do expect that that ratification will occur. But until that occurs, we won't know the specifics of that automation piece and the degree to which that will be permitted in the future. Both by the joint statement made by the two parties talked about jobs being protected while being open to new technologies to allow for greater efficiency. So that can mean a lot of different things, and we'll just simply have to wait and see. But the bottom line is we're very pleased to see that we've got a lot of question marks that have manifested themselves when it comes to our global supply chain for agriculture and other industries. And it's nice to have some degree of certainty when it comes to the East and Gulf Coast ports that there won't be a strike.
And thank you, Mike Steenhoek, Executive Director of the Soy Transportation Coalition. Well, during this cold weather, Joel found a farmer and his animals who actually like the cold. Joel?
It's cold out there, and even colder weather on the horizon for next week. So we bring you a unique story of some unique livestock that don't need much of a barn in these frigid temperatures. Blake Mathis and his family run Covered Bridge Yaks over in Union County, where they raise American yaks for food and fiber.
This is perfect yak weather. They really like the cold temperatures. The snow doesn't bother them at all. They really only go into the barn for access to water. Aside from that, they're just out in the cold temperatures. Yaks are a little bit unusual. They're fun. They have the horns. They're hairy. They're a good conversation piece, an all-purpose type of livestock.
Mathis says many of their yaks are destined for meat, which they market direct to consumer, as well as through various local grocery stores. The meat, very, very lean, he says.
They are pretty slow growing. So it takes about 3 years at least to get like a steer up to appropriate weight to butcher. Because the meat is so lean, it really is something that a lot of consumers are looking for. They also are kind of nice because they do cross with regular cattle. And so you can have crosses. We have one out here right now that is half yak, half regular cattle. And they grow a little faster, maybe get a little bigger than a regular yak. And so it provides kind of a mixture of the characteristics of both.
Yaks originally from the Himalayan region, they were brought to the Americas in the early 1900s. Yak meat not allowed to be imported into the United States. That means all yak you purchase here was raised in the country.
The only special things we've had to do is with the butchering. We had to find a butcher that does an exotic butchering and has the USDA inspection of that. It took a little bit of effort to find a butcher who'd do it. I contacted quite a few before I found somebody who was doing exotic butchering.
Not an extremely common type of livestock. Mathis says only a handful in this part of the country. The full news video online at ohioagdat.com today. I'm Joel Norwood reporting.
And thanks, Joel. Back with more after this.
Watch your step, Ohio. Winter weather is here, so let's keep your team from slipping on the job. Make sure to examine your work areas daily and clear hazards that could result in a potential fall. Hoses, cords, buckets, farm tools, and equipment can all pose a problem. As the days get darker, you'll want to replace any poor lighting, too. Keep walkways and entrance areas clear, dress for the weather, and stay safe and warm. This safety tip brought to you by the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation. Visit pwc.ohio.gov for more safety resources.
Morton Buildings is holding their annual Building Value Day sales event running now through the end of February. Morton Buildings are built stronger, last longer, and look better. So if you're planning for a garage, farm shop, stall barn, a storage building for your RV, boat, or collectibles, or anything in between, act now and contact one of their 4 Ohio offices by visiting mortonbuildings.com or call 800-447-7436 to take advantage of their current savings on select new buildings. Certain restrictions may apply. This offer is available on select building styles. Contact your local construction center for more details.
The American Soybean Association's ASA World Initiative on Soy and Human Health Program, commonly called the WISH program, and the U.S. Export Council are pleased to be recipients of the second round of funding from the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Foreign Agricultural Services Regional Agricultural Promotion Program, or RAP. Caleb Ragland, ASA president and soy farmer from Magnolia, Kentucky, said the American Soybean Association and our allied soy groups are exceptionally pleased to be included in the second round of RAP grants, funding that will continue to open doors for U.S. agriculture exports in emerging markets. Soy is proud to be our country's #1 ag export, but that does not mean we can sit idle. We pride ourselves on finding innovative, collaborative ways to tap and expand markets for our high-protein, high-quality beans and remain relevant in an increasingly competitive global field. The second round of RAP funding will bolster U.S. soy's existing efforts and our own financial commitments to expand in promising regions, including Africa, Latin America, and Asia. We thank Secretary Vilsack and the administration for their ongoing support of U.S. farmers and helping us grow and diversify our markets. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company, excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. For information on soybean marketing to LDC, call 574-566-2113. With today's analysis, here's Ryan Martin.
Rough day in the marketplace on Thursday as we saw a major correction in soybeans. Honestly, we had some corrections in the other markets as well. As we look at the close, double digits lower on soybeans, wheat and corn also lower. U.S. export sales on the week ending January 9th improved from the holidays, but not enough to garner much enthusiasm. Corn sales came in at 40 million bushels versus 18 million the previous week, but it was 49 million the same week a week ago. Soybean sales, a paltry 21 million bushels versus 11 million over the holidays, 29 million in mid-January of last year. Wheat was awful, 19 million bushels, but it was 4 million last week. And that was weighted toward the routine white wheat demand from South Korea. Hard red winter wheat sales totaled just 2 million bushels. Soft red winter, 1.2. This follows net SRW cancellations in each of the past 2 weeks. Export demand continues to struggle under the weight of larger and cheaper Southern Hemisphere supplies. Everybody wants to sit here and crow about what's going on in Russia, Black Sea areas. Look, Argentina is a fairly large-scale producer of wheat, and there's plenty of product coming from the Southern Hemisphere. For the respective marketing years to date, exporters have sold about 28% more year-on-year on corn, beans up about 9% year-on-year, and wheat up also 9% from last year. The market still does have a demand story, that is soy oil. Export sales last week, 126 million pounds, a 5-week high. The Buenos Aires Crop Exchange progress report is awaited to measure damage done to the crop by the late December and early January warmth and dryness. The corn crop had been rated 42% good to excellent versus the week prior last week. Soy 49 versus 53. Our forecast in South America, Argentina is improved, but we'll have to see what the number is on good to excellent scenarios. Rough market day overall. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. In the markets at yesterday's close, we saw December corn down 4 1/4 at $4.52. November beans down 18 1/2 to $10.20 3/4, and July wheat down 9 at $5.59 1/2 cents. Overnight at the open, going into a 3-day holiday weekend, we have March corn up 2 1/4 at $4.76 3/4. May trades up 2 at $4.85, and December new crop up 1/4 cent at $4.53. The March soybeans up 4 3/4, trading $10.23 3/4. May's up 4 1/4 at $10.35 3/4, and November new crop up 2 3/4 at $10.23 1/2 cents. On the wheat, March, 538 3/4, up 1 1/4. July new crop, 561, up 1 1/2. And carry that out to September, you're up 1 1/4 at 574 1/2 cents. In livestock, it's all lower, but February cattle was $196.60, down $1.92. April down $1.65 at $197.67, and June down $1.47 at $191.97. February lean hogs, $82.30, down 82. April, $90.55, down 47. And May, $95.30, down 27 cents. The March feeder cattle down 207 at $267.72. And April down $1.92 at $268.20. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, everyone. I'm Dale Minyo. This is the Ohio AgNet.